Ashes of Creation, not a scam. Shocking, I know.
So now that we've had a couple of days to digest this month's incredible showcase, I can confirm that what they showed has been the best showcase that we've had in over 2 whole years. Yes,
The best showcase, you hear that? That's kind of exciting. And I think Ashes of Creation is doing a pretty good job with everything that they're doing. Still wish they kind of worked on those baseline animations that I do not vomit every time I see them. But, you know, you can't wish for everything that fast now, can you?
you've heard me right. I'd even be so bold as to say it was better than the season's preview from early 2022. But before we get into that, our beautiful patrons and coped out the wazoo Twitch subs and I would love the why I believe this stream has been the best so far, talk about some interesting implications, and provide some feedback to a few of the presentation points that hopefully you guys agree with. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
Well, let's see what we got here. Dynamic world.
Okay, so as I said in the intro, despite the topic this month, I personally thought this showcase was the best showcase so far, period. If I'm honest, I think Intrepid completely misrepresented what this livestream was actually about, because ultimately, the commission part of it was almost completely void and skipped over. And I think because of that, they...
Okay, so the New World Commission board. New World quests weren't bad. Okay, so here's the hot take on New World, right? New World was not a bad game until you hit max level, then it stopped even being a game because of how bad it was, okay? You have no idea what to do at max level, you have no idea what's what is, and there you go. Have fun, relax. And these boards, kind of mediocre, meh, kind of shitty most of the time, not gonna lie, but it can work. The fact that New World has this, and these boards were stupid, doesn't mean that another game cannot take them and make them into something good. There are a lot of instances where games take something from another game that flopped and make it into something good. Except for, you know, Elder Scrolls Online when they took Torghast from World of Warcraft and made it even worse. That's an exception. That was worse.
Kind of shot themselves in the foot a little with their reach. Many people were turned off by this month's topic, so they took this opportunity to skip watching it live entirely, which is a huge shame. Personally, I thought this livestream was much more of a dynamic world preview than actually focused on those kill and collect quests, so hopefully going forward, the team will be much more confident in the way that they present themselves. You're dominating the genre, bringing all these systems together, Intrepid. Fucking own it. Put these piece of shit MMOs in their place. And that brings us to the first of our points. What we saw this month was a culmination of all the traditional systems that we've had from previous MMOs brought together in one neat package, then governed by Ashes of Creation's unique node system. We had...
Bro, that chain lightning. That chain lightning. Such a long cast. Such intensity. Such ferocity. Palpatine himself is looking from the clouds up above, because you know that G went to heaven for all the work he did. Bruh, Palpatine, my boy, you're one of the good ones, okay? And then he unleashes the chain lightning that does less damage than an auto attack. Mwah! You just have to appreciate the small things in life.
By Ashes of Creation.
59 damage. What a time to be alive.
Unique node system. We had the basic breadcrumbs in the form of those commissions, encouraging players to go out into the world. We had the traditional small-scale narrative stories with the side quest chain. We had the player-driven progressive element of spawning dynamic boss events that changed the area completely in multiple ways. Cool. And then to conclude the whole loop, we had a node progressing up to the next
this is interesting.
Stage and triggering a zone-wide story arc, a genuine, complete...
Yeah, look at this. The tree's burning, now there's black smoke coming out of it. Wow!
Gameplay loop that really showed off how dynamic and player-driven Ashes of Creation's world is. It's basically EverQuest, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, and all those fantastic elements from these previous MMOs brought together in one cohesive world. And we're finally starting to see that come together
Pretty
after
cool.
7 long years of concepts. Bravo is the only thing I have to say. However, there was one particular part of the stream that I really didn't enjoy, and that's the inclusion of console commands to trigger these events. I get that these large-scale events and story arcs, they're not supposed to be triggered by singular quest completions, but it comes across a little weird and deceptive when you show something happening in the distance, triggered by a console command, but then you don't actually go inside said area to prove anything changed. Especially when we're so close to Alpha 2's launch at this point. I'd say the hard part of this is hooking it up to the node system. So when you're manually triggering it all, it does come across as a little worrying. Are devs just going to follow large streamers around, manually triggering events during Alpha 2's launch, giving the public the perception that it all works, when in reality, it's all just scripted bullshit? That's how it comes across to us when you're using console commands to trigger things during your monthly live streams. But I digress.
Isn't that like a super minor thing, though, that you have console commands that can trigger things? Is he... I have a feeling he's going a little bit too deep into that for no reason. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad thing, dude. I kind of like also this, because when this game releases, everything's going to be thrown out the window. When the moment people actually start playing the game, start forming groups and whatnot, dude, everything that they have designed is going to just be thrown into the garbage. In literal minutes, probably. People are going to break the game and circumvent features that they intended so hard you would think that they haven't even designed the game in actuality. That's what's gonna happen with Ashes of Creation, and it's gonna be beautiful and glorious, okay? I'm gonna love it. So, the idea that, you know, they can actually trigger some events or something, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty cool. Because, otherwise, I think there's gonna be a lot of stagnation. A lot of pretty bad stagnation, especially if, you know, some kind of certain clan takes over and things like that. So, it would be interesting.
Aside from that, the whole presentation was amazing. I do have some feedback too, and I think I'll start with the storm. Obviously, the whole atmosphere and look of the storm with the fog, the amazing water physics, and general vibe is fantastic. However, the rain itself is a little bit scuffed. It seems like it's attached to the camera for some reason, and because of that, when the camera is moving around fast, like players tend to do in MMOs, the rain actually moves dependent on the camera's direction, causing the rain to do some pretty wacky shit that doesn't make sense and breaks my immersion pretty damn hard. I think at one point the rain was moving upwards due to the way that you're rendering it, so hopefully you can go back and fix these problems. In addition, the lightning bolts were another fantastic mechanic, adding a lot of dynamic movement and environmental threats to the world, as the lightning was pretty much one-shotting you if you got hit, as it should. However, I'm not really a fan of it hurting the mobs. As these were storm weavers, I found it rather strange that the storm that they were weaving is actually fucking their ass. So I think...
I mean, what if they're bad at their jobs? What if these are the, like, low-tier storm weavers, you know, they just got accepted in the group because people felt sad for them, and now you're killing essentially their handicapped population for no reason. Okay, what if that's the case? Okay, what if this is just an accident? Okay, what if they're just gaslighting everyone into thinking, oh my god, they're storm weavers, they're so great, but in reality they don't do anything, it's just luck, and there you go. What if they're LARPers? Have you considered that? Bet you haven't.
I think an interesting change to this would be, instead of the lightning strikes damaging the Minotaurs, it actually heals them to full and gives them a powerful temporary buff. You know, kind of like they've absorbed the lightning that they've summoned and they're ready to like fucking foaming at the mouth, and she's like ready to just stomp on my cock. Do you know what I mean? This
No.
would add the dynamic of players trying to pull the Minotaurs out of the lightning
You gotta appreciate a pile of ash, though. That's beautiful. I like the pile of ash, I'm not gonna lie. Big ash pile fan.
strikes should one spawn on top of them, and just improve the general vibe and immersion of the
Also, do you know what this ash pile is? It's ashes of creation! Because you created the avatar, now it's a pile of ash? Do you like that? I hope you like that. I tried real hard to like the video.
whole area. This can, of course, be extended to all weather events, as I feel like the factions that are involved with these changes should gain benefits from their effect, rather than be subject to the same negatives as the player. Now, moving on, I really enjoyed the narrative element of these side quests. I think it being presented in a way that feels like Dungeons and Dragons is absolutely genius. I'm pretty confident I mentioned this in my breakdown video, but I would love for these particular narrative parts to be voice acted. I've said before in the past, I'm not a fan of quests themselves being voice acted. I don't think that's necessary. Ultimately, people don't really care about the context of quest text, but giving some disembodied voice to the narrative part that draws attention to these quest givers out in the world would be extremely immersive. I think Baldur's Gate 3, being as well received as it did, really helped to show that this Dungeons and Dragons type storytelling adds to a game's overall quality.
Oh, that is for sure. Pillars of Eternity were their previous game before Baldur's Gate 3, and that game was really good. People, like, that was, before Baldur's Gate 3, the role-playing game that people always said that you need to play, but people didn't like it because too much reading. Very lazy, it is what it is. Too much reading is a mood killer. It is what it is.
And as Ashes of Creation is inspired a lot by Dungeons and Dragons, or rather Pathfinder, I think it fits perfectly. Finally, I just want to talk about some UI elements related to the commission boards specifically. I understand that the UI is still work in progress and in a functional state, however, I'll give my 2 cents anyway because we came up with some interesting ideas for its presentation. I'd really enjoy it if the commissions themselves were presented in a way that looks like small wanted posters being pinned on a backboard. You know, kind of like how it looks in the actual game world, but projected onto a UI as well. Maybe giving those little paper posters a flicker as you hover over them with your mouse.
That sounds extremely stupid. No, do not.
Then marking it with a red accepted stamp when you click it. You've pretty much already started this with the current implementation, and I'm excited to see where you go with it as all your UI elements move out of that functional state and into the presentable one. Overall, a fantastic live stream. Not sure why people are calling it filler or saying it was boring. I thought it showed some incredible combat changes, insane animation strides, immersive world building, and the full gameplay loop of Ashes of Creation perfectly. But as usual, I am just one nerd, desperate for a good MMO, and my opinion means nothing without your...
True. Same, actually. It is what it is, boys. I don't know. When Ashes of Creation launches, succeed or not, it's gonna change gaming. Because the systems, the ideas that they have created, that they are polishing, that they have implemented, that they have shown that are possible, is gonna be big, and it's gonna change gaming. So I'm kind of excited. Well, I'm not kind of excited. I'm really excited for that. Anyway, this was Quizzer Citizen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye bye.